I'm Chef Collin Brown. Um, my company is Chef Collin Brown. I was 15 and a half. I was like way advanced. I was on main course in the best seafood restaurant in Jamaica at the time. Um, I was on main course. I was a kid.
It's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, all the way from the UK, but he's originally from Jamaica, and I wish the TV show that he was on would have represented that more. They were trying to represent London, which, I love London. I have a London about to wake up for school, but I have Chef Collin Brown, who is on the final table on Netflix, and he's going to tell us, what does it take? How did he become such an executive chef, an entrepreneur, and give us the game on being a chef? Chef, welcome to the show. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, brother. Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you so much.
Well, you sparked my whole family's interest when we're sitting and we're watching the final table. We love watching food shows. I tell my kids, daddies can tell all type of truths, but I said, I used to be a sous chef. And they say, when? I said, well, and I have a whole story behind it that nobody can verify except, my cousins and whatnot. But, you were the only that, at least that we saw, Black chef on the final table, which was funny because I'm like, chefs from all around the world. I was waiting for, we were not just from the Caribbean. I was waiting for Africa, but you represented it all for us. So let's just get into that. How did that opportunity come about?
They were combing the world, they said, for chefs, and basically they go and look at your profile, what you have done, and when they reach out to me, I was thinking maybe this is a scam. So I mean, when the first thing I asked, how much I need to pay, it's like, so the guy laughed and said, no, it's like, and when they start to send all over the information, then I started to say, okay, this is kind of look like it's going to be serious. Now, for me, I was just looking at it from where I'm coming from and what I want to do from my region, really, because I grew up in Jamaica. My whole family, I'm sixth generation slave. That's the first thing. First thing you need to admit and accept is who you really genuinely are. Then you will know wherever situation they throw you, and you just know why you're there. You know what I mean? So the fact that all my generation and on my food is handed down from generation to generation to generation. It's only a pity I didn't get to cook my way on the show. Then you would see something. It's a different league. So what happened is they said we do a Skype interview. They keep calling, and we do all of that, go through this, and then they said they would love me to come over to LA to we're gonna film this thing in Sony. But during that time I was working flat out because I had an event. I live in London. I have an event in Jamaica. I have another event in London. In the space of 10 days, I mean, I was in 3 different time zones. So it was like, so when I went to LA, and it's all long flights, So when I went to LA, I was literally run down everything. So I wasn't my best on that show, to be honest, because I was very sick. I was taking Advil like crazy and vitamin shots. So it's not, I'm not trying to make excuses or whatever, but the thing is, I have to give thanks for the opportunity. There was other Black chefs there, but when we reached LA, but you had, I think we came down to the last 50. I think it's thousands of people, but it came down to the last 50. I think there was 2 more Black guys in the last 50, and they chose me after. Then you have to wobble it down to another 24 chefs. So I was chosen. So I was I consider myself very fortunate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. And okay, so that you just were the last one to make the cut out of many, and then they team you up with someone, and so I guess you guys kind of they make it seem like all those partnerships are genuine, but we know TV, they have to do that. But did you know your team member prior?
No.
Okay.
No, but some of the guys, most of the guys know each other. I mean, me and her was just paired by Netflix. Yeah,
So so and it was a great, I mean, you did a great job, and it's a competition, and it's not always who's the best. It's kind of, a lot of stuff happens with TV.
yeah,
So
yeah,
to get to that point, though, you started cooking at 6, I know, in Jamaica.
yeah.
He called himself, you guys, he was waiting for another child, especially a girl, so he could stop cooking and doing all the cooking. But
Yeah, yeah,
this love for food, I mean, it's kind of out of the necessity, but how did you
yeah.
take it to the next level? Because you're at such a level where it's like you went from cooking to chef to owning restaurants.
Yeah.
What was the step? Did you hit the lotto? Like, did you find
No,
a sponsor?
no,
Somebody's
man.
out there. Like, how did that happen?
To be honest, I've never had. I just know that we're talking. I just realized I've never had a sponsor. I never have not an investor in any way. I'd never had a loan from the bank. I'd never had not even an overdraft on an account to do business. So, but I grew up on an island where you cannot walk off. The only way off is flying. So we know just the Jamaicans know the hustle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, and I have a mean grandmother. She is dangerous, man. She, the reason why I would never go to jail because if my grandmother come, I'd rather to face a firing squad than my grandmother. You know what I mean? Come to the jail. So it was one of them situations. So you had to find a way out. So when I moved to London, it was so weird because I used to work in Jamaica where like my grandmother didn't send me to. She don't believe in sending kids to college and university and stuff like that. She said you can't just pick yourself up from high school, just go to university because you don't know what you want to do. So she put me in an on-the-job training program where she find the best restaurant for you, and they rather to pay the restaurant to take you than pay for you to go to university. But at least if you can do it for a few years and you realize, oh, this is not for me, then you can, you know what I mean? And they're rather to do it than you go and study and then 2 years you say, oh, that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? So she put me in a program like that. And then I was really good. When I was 15 and a half, I was like way advanced. I was on main course in the best seafood restaurant in Jamaica at the time. Um, I was on main course. I was a kid, in the main course cooking lobster. So I remember once there was a man, he from the Cayman Island, I think he was, and he asked me if I would like to work in the Cayman Island. I was a child. I said, okay, yeah, sure. I say yes to everything. Um, Next thing you know, they send me. They say I should book a flight to the Cayman Islands. Never fly, never leave the country. I remember going on. My mother working in the hospital, going down there and tell her like she's like, I don't have the money. Just like there's no way you're gonna go because I don't have the money, and I don't have the money either because I'm just a child. So our friend, I think one of our nurse friend, lent me some money. They say, I'll lend you the money. You go. What do you think? So we went to Cayman Island, and that's when I get the bug for restaurant. Then I start to find it wasn't. Then things get real right there. It's like, wow, it's a restaurant, and people like my food, and I'm like, where I was working when I was 19, I was working 19 hours a day. That's what. And then the beautiful thing about working 19 hours a day, you don't get any time to spend money. So when I couldn't wait to go home to Jamaica, so I have a lot of money now, because cash like crazy. So I go home, me and my boys running all over the place, then the money is finished. You know, now I'm looking like, right, what's the next move for me? Because I love the cooking. I love what I've been learning, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, let me go to London. Now this was a wake-up call for me because like when I come to London now, there's like all my qualification is invalid here because I didn't study in London. So, imagine you come here and you're trying to get into something and until you're illegal because you overstay your time because you still haven't get anything, you don't have money to go back home. So I couldn't get a job. And I realized like the only way I'm gonna work in a restaurant again, I have to own it. you know, and that's where the Jamaican in you jump out now. So I set myself, say, all right, the only people I know was drug dealers, people who sell drugs. That's why I never disrespect them in any way, shape, or form. I would never talk bad about anyone. These was the only people I know. So I decided to design some cakes, what I know they would like rum cakes, those things that I used to grow up eating. and I used to sell it to them. So they used to go to their drugs house, and so I will give them all the cakes and all these nice things. So and they pay cash. So basically, I become a food dealer. You have like all of us. Food is like dealing art, dealing drugs, dealing whatever you wanna. So I consider myself a food dealer at the time. So and they pay cash. So that's when I start to work towards getting a restaurant. Now there was a guy. I'm gonna give you this is something I would love to tell you with the transition. Um, I save and I designed some business card. They were like gold card, like the ATM Mastercard, the like real gold. It cost me a fortune, and I have two cell number on it. That's if I lost my phone. You know what I mean? And all them drug dealers, when we go to the club, they were like, everybody's wetting themselves with champagne and doing all kind of madness. I would walk up to the meanest, most beautiful girl, and I would just introduce myself nicely, and I give them my business card and say, listen, this is what I do. I would like if you'd come and join my team. You know what I mean? And this is my card. If you think, you just give me a call tomorrow if you think it's, you know what I mean? And these are the girls that the drug dealers are trying to get, So I recruit these girls. They are absolute rubbish in hospitality. They drop everything you give them, but the drug dealer want them. So basically, I will get more business from them. So I had to like teach them how to even hold the tray. You understand what I'm saying? But then that's how I start up the catering business, And then there was a guy, of a banqueting suite, and I said to him, listen, I want to start the package events. So cakes, food, and I would love to use a venue. I don't have a venue, so I would use a venue. You take the venue hire and the bar, and I will just do this. And he's like, yeah, sure. Now that's how I end up with my first premises. I don't own it. I don't need to pay the rent. I just need to go and do what I do. And from there, I just saved till I could buy my own restaurant.
Well, that's a very different story than what the internet has said about, like, you were, your grandmother, she was a great chef herself,
Yeah,
and that you
yeah,
were,
yeah,
then kind of discovered, and then you were brought over to, just kind of
yeah,
like a Cinderella story. Hey,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
picked you up, and so that's the real story, you guys. So
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
your progress isn't always. It's kind of like this in
yeah,
life. You,
yeah,
you,
yeah,
and I appreciate that. Now,
yeah.
how do you feel when you get to London, and especially now, and as an American, I have to say, London has always treated me well. My oldest, she is named London. I have a London in the
Yeah,
Sydney.com. But
yeah,
now the same people who helped build up the UK, they want to deport them and say, hey, especially with all this Brexit
yeah,
nonsense, how
yeah.
has that impacted you and maybe even your future plans to stay in the country?
I don't follow up these things. They're trying to get I think they wake up sometime and just come up with something. I just think that doesn't even pay them no mind. I just like, honestly, because when you look at what we have to offer, like, as much as you see everybody in London is so fabulous and whatsoever, the only thing they don't know what to do is eat properly, you know? And we as a nation, and we understand food from a very early age because of how our whole history is structured. You know, you remember when I just said to you, I'm sixth generation slave. I will go right into it with you, brother, because you see, when the British take us from Africa and bring, well, my four parents, and bring them over to Jamaica, you know, um, the reason why this food is so synonymous to our culture is because of they have the influence from Spain. Like Spain, the style of jerk, I just want to go into it deeper, this jerk style is like the same style they do in Spain. So Christopher Columbus and all these people, they were from Spain and all these places. No, he was Italian, obviously, but when the Spaniard was the first people who come over there via Christopher Columbus. When they go, they see the indigenous people using the spices like the pimento and stuff. They use the right berries for anesthetic to stop infection, and then they dry the same berries to use it cook. They were blown away. So they bring their influence of food and use the spices that they find on the island, right? And then the influx of Africans came over and bring all the breadfruit, the yams, and everything. But my brother, look at what's going on right now. Everybody is trying to get healthier and eat properly and whatsoever. And these food that was brought over with the slaves, there's a reason why they brought it over. It's because when the slaves eat it, they have more strength, more stamina, more. You understand what I'm trying to show you? Now the slave masters used to eat the best of the steak and give our people the bones, the tribes, and all this stuff. And our people make this into a cuisine right now. If you go into New York or if you go to LA, you see people queuing up for bone broth. That's what the slaves used to eat. So you see what I'm saying? It's a lack of knowledge what they don't have. What we is so that's why I laugh all the time when you see all these nice people in suit dress up and talking crap. I just laugh because they have no clue what they're talking about. And then they pop into they have so much money and they just pop to grab something to just you know what I mean? So we know what we are about. You understand, brother? So I don't really pay them no mind when they talk this and talk that because what's going to happen? We can go home. But they cannot, one thing I'm 100% guarantee you, they cannot stay in England and don't go and visit some country. You understand? And the minute they have the opportunity to come to my country, guess which hospitality they're gonna want to come. I'm gonna make sure they come to mine because I have what they're looking for. And that's all we need to just look at it. Because we can't, like our foreparents, everybody's tried over the years to change these people mentality. It's a sickness. There's no point trying to cure it. What you need to do is kill them with love, brother, you know?
Definitely, definitely. And you know what we find is the more countries have a melting pot, the richer they are just, culturally. There's some things that certain cultures just, put together and they
Yeah,
like to do it. Whereas I would say, some cultures are like, nah, that's not really our thing, but it's just, how you were brought up. But I
yeah.
find it interesting them trying to deport folks. And we know the British love to go to Jamaica and spend, 2 weeks in a month. So how are you going to deport them and then have the audacity to want to come? The
Yeah,
only island you'll be getting close to is Malta, which I
yeah,
love you, Malta, but Malta's not Jamaica. So you know,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
So no,
as I said,
go ahead.
yeah, it's good, brother. Like when they think like this because it show them it show the world how they are, and we, as I said, we know better. So it's like if you're gonna want to send me home, not a problem. But when I go home, you need to make space for me because your people is living in my country, and they take liberties down there. You know what I mean? So if I was to, imagine I go home and say, okay, now I'm coming. I've been sent home from England, and now I the British have the best lands, the best thing. I need space to live, so you guys need to, you know, small up yourself because I need piece of land. I bet they would want to say I'm a terrorist. You understand what this is like? It's what I'm saying. What that's just the mentality. They've been like this for years. You know what I mean? All we need to do is live right, and we have to show each other more love. You know what I mean? And we have to change the narrative around us. Just love us. Love ourselves. Pay attention to things like this, and don't worry about them. That's just how they are. They always made this way. As my grandmother said, you don't put pigs in white shirts. It's not. It's not every idea is a good idea. Just
No, definitely, definitely. Now,
yeah.
let me ask you something. There's a lot of folks who cook and people have restaurants, but you took yours to another level. It's like, I don't know what a Michelin star would mean to you, but I sometimes think, is a Michelin star like an Oscar where the food is tasteless but it looks good and it comes in a small portion? Because
Yeah,
I like eating right off the street,
yeah,
street food wherever I go, but you have
yeah,
found the craft to put it together where you're at a executive level. So
yeah.
at what point of your career did that become the focus to, like, hey, this food is not just going to taste great, but it's also going to look like something that I can win an award with?
There was a massive pressure on it because I put myself out there as um the thing is, like, let me this, you have some really cool question. You're doing some things and you don't even really realize what you're doing. I was looking at, right, I know the taste of the food is something where you would never believe, because the way how, like, Like if I know even in Florida, you will go to a very nice Caribbean restaurant at the moment, and they will give you some food, but that's not really the way how the food is really genuinely made. If you cook it the indigenous way is you don't use butter, you don't use oil, you don't use, and if you use oil, it's coconut oil that's made. We don't use dairy. You can make creme brulee without any dairy. I tell a French guy that it's like they want to shoot me. You know, but you can manipulate corn to do exactly what an egg do. You know what I mean? Because if you make cornmeal porridge, it's set, right? So things like that, you have to know. Yeah, you have to grow up knowing this, having this knowledge. You know what I mean? So I remember when I was growing up, my grandmother always tell me, today you do your best, and tomorrow you make your best better. If you do this for a whole year, you're untouchable. You understand what I'm trying to show you? So it's about doing something and say, oh, I could make this look better. Like, tomorrow you're working it to make it look better. You know what I mean? You already have all the knowledge you have with the food. There's no one can cook the food better than you because you grew up eating it. You know what I'm saying? If anybody try to do it, they're going to try and replicate what you're doing. You know what I mean? So that was always in me. And then now I just start to present the food a specific way, like just make it follow what my grandmother tell me. Today I'm going to make it's clean. I don't consider what I put it on as plate is like a canvas. And if you're going to do art, you have to make sure paint don't splash here, this don't splash here, and you kind of make, you know what I mean? That's how I started thinking in my head, like, so, and then it becomes something else. Next thing you know, I'm getting awards like crazy. I get an award from the United Nations in Geneva for taking an indigenous food to restaurant standard, like, because they classified our food as indigenous Jamaican food. And you believe this madness? Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. I accept properly. It's wonderful, though.
I mean, what you did to sweet potato that I saw on your Instagram, and you guys make sure the links will be in the description, and how you made
Yeah,
it, you went from a chef to an artist, a true artist, and that
yeah,
skill is something that now everybody can't do that,
yeah,
and it was prettier than your Bentley, whatnot,
yeah,
which the Bentley was pretty,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you know at that, when you get to that level, is there
yeah,
any pressure then to say, I really want this Michelin star? But to you guys, just so you know, to get a Michelin star, it's not just your food, it's these fools can put a fork on the floor, and if you don't pick it up
yeah,
within a certain time,
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
get it. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
and who is Michelin anyway? I mean, you guys do
yeah,
tires,
yeah,
great, but
yeah,
who is Michelin,
yeah,
right? That's the
yeah,
thing. So is there pressure to get it? Because once you get one, I mean, chefs then want another and another, and
yeah,
then it becomes about more ego than it is even about the
yeah.
craft.
Honestly, if any chef in the world would say they would like one, but the problem is getting it is not the problem. Is keeping it, maintaining it. Um, because if you lose it, it's like something's go wrong with you. You know what I mean? So it's not even. And to be honest, I never look at it like, oh, I just want to get one because I want to push my career. The only reason I would like to get one, this is from my heart, is to show Jamaicans what the possibilities are. You know what I mean? Because I think everybody take this thing for granted. You know what I mean? And everybody think you need to go to college and you need to do this because we was we we was I don't want to. I have to be very careful how I use the word. We was told that's the only way to make it in life. You have to go to university, go to this, and then somebody have to make your salary up. You don't have to be like that. You know what I mean? And I would love to show you, like, from nothing, you can do this. You know what I mean? And you change the way how Jamaicans think with their own food. Because right now, I can tell you this as I'm sitting here with you. If you go to any hotel in Jamaica, you struggle to find Jamaican food on the menu. And I find that really disgusting, to be honest. I'm literally speaking with the ministers over there about what we can do to change this, because like we are killing the cuisine because of this. We have everything imported. Like I think Jamaica import like over $1 billion worth of food from America. And then there's a country that grow everything. And in Europe, they have summer like 3 months for the whole year, and they manage to grow food to feed the whole Europe. And we have a summer, never ending summer, and we have to import stuff. I don't see where it's, you know what I mean? And I think it's the lack of knowledge of what we have on the island. So for me, awards like that only give me the opportunity to open people's eyes to the possibilities of what we can do. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that same story is true for, most of Africa where you have a surplus of food,
Yeah,
but for some reason, and it starts with the leadership at top. I mean, this is me saying this, not Chef Collin. If you are 65 and older and have been doing your same position for the last 30 years, please groom some fresh blood. Whether you're in America, Nancy Pelosi, let AOC get in there, or if you are in the Caribbean or anywhere in an African country, sit
yeah,
back, enjoy the fruits of your labor, because a lot of them don't even get that this new digital world is you don't have to do what was done. This is a new transformation, especially
yeah,
with COVID. Everything is digital. Businesses like mine have bloomed because we live in the cloud. We help
yeah,
restaurants if it's anything online or software and to get you there. But I love to hear that. Now, you've had a lot of success, though. And I mean, you guys, you'll see a lot of success, and that's
yeah.
inspiring. But what is your community give back that you are doing or that you plan to do in the future?
I think that's kind of an amazing question you ask, because I remember moving back to Jamaica in 2013, because I wanted to do some, just to spread what I'm doing in Jamaica. It didn't work out properly because they didn't, like, the locals, will give you opportunity, but corporate Jamaica see you as a competition. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. And that's why I moved back to London, because I was there. I went back to Jamaica and spent 3 years on the island. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. I couldn't even get anything to do. So, you know, Bob Marley have a song, "Emancipate Yourself from Mental Slavery." That's one of the deepest verse on the planet. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It is. That disease is a different level, And I didn't understand this guy when I was growing up. I really genuinely experience this on a different level, And it made me even a better person when I come back to London, and I know more how to approach things, because I was thinking maybe it's my expectation that made me give me a little bit of disappointment. You know what I mean? So I just don't expect anything from anyone anymore. If I met somebody and they want us to work together and transform something, we just make it happen and just work only from our heart, never use our heads. You know what I mean? But I've learned in Jamaica the hard way, you know? Like they said, make some money and go back and invest in your country. I tried that. And I'm telling you, it it's like, I'm telling you, the government, not even just normal, government. I'm like, like, yo. But anyway, I don't hold it against anyone, because maybe that's not where God want me to be. So I just work with it. I accept things, and you know what I mean.
Well, you have to
But I
go.
still,
You have to go back to John 4:4. A prophet is not accepted in his hometown, so you have to
yeah,
leave home. But go ahead. I think you're going to say more.
I'm not giving up on my country though, because I think it's the God-given right to know what they are capable of. Like when it comes down to the culinary world, and I think the problem what they're having in there, they're trying to cook the food, to grow the food and try to sell the food. I think they need to grow the food and cook the food, how our parents used to do it, and forget about how how much money we're gonna make from this and this. Like, you know what I mean? We have to start caring again. We can't be like, there's more Chinese restaurant in Jamaica than local restaurant. If you don't get Jamaican food by 6 o'clock, even the cook shops are closed by 6 o'clock. You cannot go out for a dinner at a Jamaican restaurant 8 9 o'clock. There's none. You either have to
Wow.
go to you can find, and yeah, you make you wonder why they killing the cuisine. Like, this is what we are about. You know what I mean? So
Well,
me
that
going over, huh? Go on.
no, but that's why you figuring out what the next plan is, because maybe you even have to do like courses, and I'm going to ask you when the book is going to come out to inspire, to create a program to show
Yeah,
them, because even when you go to the fancy resorts, which I'm not a big fan of, the
yeah,
Palladium and things like that, because the cuisine is everything like you're saying but Jamaican,
Yeah.
and you're not imbibed with the culture. For me,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to touch the people, and they
Yeah.
make it seem like Jamaica's the most dangerous place in the world. My wife is from Cameroon.
Yeah.
I'm from Oakland, California. I'm not going to be worried about any danger in Jamaica.
No. No. No.
So, but what can be done? Do you think, even from afar, because you have so many Caribbean restaurants, Jamaican restaurants in London. I've been to one in King's Cross many moons ago, and it
Yeah.
was no Jamaicans around, and the food was as bland as their fish and chips. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so what can be done as a solution if you just had a magic pen and you could write a letter to God and pray and say, hey, this is what I'd like to be done? What's the solution?
I reckon we in Jamaica have to accept what we had first for us to be selling it to the rest of the world. We have to make sure it's like really packaged well. And I think the way how we approach that is with the government to create like a body, like a what you say, an ambassador or something, like a who speak for the cuisine. And I think by law, every because most of the hotels are not owned by locals. It's like people who come in from different countries, which we welcome the investment. However, by law, there should be every hotel should have a Jamaican restaurant serving like fine dining Jamaican food. There should be a training set up for if they're going to bring their own staff or having some Jamaicans inside a place who can put it down on that level. You know what I mean? So it's by it's just like if you come to UK and as an investor and you say, okay, I want to buy this land to build some properties and rent and stuff. The first thing the government is going to tell you need to do something towards social housing. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you can build your apartment block, but you need to build another one for social housing. You understand? So the government can give to the less fortunate. I think we need to set something up like that in Jamaica. If you're going to come here, you're going to have to employ a certain amount of Jamaican, and you have to have this food by law because you need to promote this food more. And by you doing that, then you can start moving this brand into the States, into Europe, into you understand what I'm trying to show you. But we don't have that. We try for some strange reason we tend to accept every other cuisine except ours. I don't this is why I don't understand, and I would love to change this, to be honest.
And I want to add something to that and make sure you pay them the equivalent of what you'll pay the foreigners, because
Thank you, brother.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
because they'll say, yeah, we got them all right here, and
Yeah,
paying them peanuts, and then
yeah,
bring somebody in from Wisconsin, and
yeah,
it's just a whole
yeah, yeah, yeah.
different life. Now,
That's a very valid point because I've seen some things when I went over. It made me disgusted, man. Like the price, what it like say for I'm talking with you. Nobody can stop me from doing what I do anyway, so I can talk. They're like I was around a company and it's so weird. It broke my heart when I speak about this. They was paying the local people. They paid them 300 US a month, right?
mhm,
And the guy from America, they pay him 3,000 a month, and he can't even do the work. And it's because of the color of his skin. So
yeah,
that's like, look at the difference. I'm not saying you can fair enough. You're flying someone, and they give him house, they give him company car, and everything. And you know what the guy was telling me. The owner was telling me he have a problem because Jamaicans keep stealing from him. I said they have to. This money cannot even bring them back to work after they go shopping. They don't have a choice, you know. And at the same time, you have like a massive security company securing the place and trying to stop people from stealing. I'm like, this doesn't make no sense. Give this money to the guys who are stealing from you, and you will see the difference. You understand? That's just economics. You're just like, you know what I mean? If you give them a little increase, what do you think is going to happen? And you explain to them, like, man, this is what I'm trying to do. You're stealing from me. That means you're stealing from yourself. It's a total different approach to it. But I don't think they understand this because, as I said, these are people from the slave background. The great grandkids just hand down things. They don't understand this. They don't understand this logic, you know. So what you're saying is a very, very, very true statement you just made it because I've experienced it over there.
And I'm going to add one more thing to that. At some of these resorts, many Americans know that, there's no tipping allowed on some of them. And we used to fight. My wife and I were like, you got to take this. Like, this is a
Yeah,
blessing. You can't,
yeah,
but they can get in trouble. It's like, you got to sneak it. Like we're trying to
yeah,
steal the tip in reverse.
yeah,
So they know what they're doing. And this is why we do shows like this, to call them out, because there are allies, there are good people, but the
yeah,
system in itself is, it needs to change, and it needs a whole 180 so it can
yeah,
really be inclusive and diverse and fair.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and and with that, I had asked you, slid in there about the book. Any plans for a book in the near future?
Honestly, I have been writing something about this. It's the history of the food, like a 1,000-year history of the food. I'm looking for find the best publisher. So there's a lot of people who've been knocking on the door for it, but I want somebody who understand what it is about. I just don't want to just, yeah, oh yeah, we're just gonna make some money, because this is like everything from over 1,000 years. How the food has arrived, how does it develop until now. So you will have, so I just don't want it to make it like, that's why and I'm only going to do one book. I don't want to do like 100 book, just one good book, you know, um, around this like, and from how you take it from street food all the way up to fine dining, you know what I mean? The stages, the steps you need to make, and what I've done. You understand what I'm saying? I would love to do something like that. I've written a fair amount of it already, but it's just that I just want the right people to work with on this, like, because what's in my head and what need to come to, somebody need to formulate it for me, like on a different level, so that's where I am, like. And trust me, this COVID kind of help you as well, because it make you more relaxed. Before, I was all over the place because I have so many places I have to be, because honestly, the problem I had was getting chefs from Jamaica here, because for a chef to come and work for you, is there's no way the British gonna let them through in the country. They say you need to employ British people to do what I grew up doing, so that's kind of difficult. So what I start to do is like license my menu to top restaurants, like, and a lot of them start win a lot of awards because of this. But and then I have to make my work into like sauces easy to use, and then I show them how to. They still don't know how to make the sauces from scratch. I don't really think I would ever let them up with that. But the thing is, these things I want to put in the book: how to create stuffs from just onions, and you know what I mean, how to use onions and turn onions into food, and the way how we used to do it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the book
Yeah.
what I'm working on at the moment. However, I don't. I'm on the fence because I don't want to give it to a publisher and then they say, "Oh, you put this and this and this," without understanding the background, the culture, the history that we have to go from. Like there's products in the world that people would never even come across. Things like anato, you know, people like this is a natural coloring from a berry. You know what I mean? Things like stuff like that. Things that you don't even know how deep this thing is. So I'm really genuinely looking for somebody who I can really do this with on a level. But you see, like how me and you can reason. Imagine
Yeah.
we talking about food like this, and just write about what we are talking.
Well,
That's what I would love.
I'm gonna challenge you, because somebody who, I have a publishing company and written many of books, but I have my publishing company
Hmm.
because I knew my family and I wanted to write more and more books. And in publishing, the more books you produce, there's these little secret societies that you become part of. But I wanted to have ownership of my stuff. And I didn't want to go
Okay.
I didn't want to beg an agent to, in 3 years find me a deal, and then they tell me what I had to change. Not that I cannot grow, I'm not
Yeah.
incorrigible, but it's that these I'm writing on my family's travels and some of my books. I'm writing on the
Yeah.
Christian industry that nobody in the Christian industry would write about, because
Yeah.
they said we don't think artists read, so we don't think that would be worth our time. And so I challenge you. Think about what putting a book together is. You have the ideas, then you get
Hmm.
an editor to format it. Now you're
Yeah.
state independent, just like with your restaurants, you got to do
Yeah.
it yourself. So your
Yeah.
editor puts it together the way you like. Then you get someone to lay it out the way you like. That's two different people. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
just a process of going to Amazon. That's the easy part. Going to Ingram Spark, so
Mm-hmm.
libraries worldwide will buy your book. That's not a difficult thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you control it. And maybe it doesn't sell 10 million and you're on Forbes, but guess what? We know those numbers are flubbed a lot of times anyway. And with the right check, you can get on
Yeah.
anything. And that's where
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
authors, they lose it. And plus the libraries spend millions of dollars locally around the
Yeah.
world on books. So it's why you're doing it. If it's just to make money, I tell people don't write a book. Even if you get a deal, once you're a literary agent and everybody takes
Yeah.
a piece of you, you don't have any real
Yeah.
money. And I got
Yeah.
real sources on that. But I challenge you for that. But I also want to challenge you to bring back the YouTube, because it's been at least like 7 years, I think, and you got a whole new story. All that
Yeah.
luxury you're showing on Instagram, that's
Yeah.
YouTubeable. TikTok,
Okay.
all that.
Okay. 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 I could do that. I could definitely do that.
Yeah,
Definitely do that. I was starting to push things, and my mom tell me to just remember I need to come home sometime, and people might think I'm too rich, you know. So, so I was like, okay, I pull up. But the food stuff I'm gonna go into. And the funniest thing is, like, I was telling her, I'm not. It's not like I have this money that you see. It's it's weird how food provide things for you. Like, when I was growing up, like, oh my God, I would love to own this and I would love to own that. And I find myself in a position where it's provided. You don't need to own it. You just, people's like, right, there is a car, you can have this one, you can do this and just get on with what you do. I'm like, oh, really? So now the last thing I think about is buying a nice car or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And it's all because of what you do. You understand what I'm trying to show you? So it's like, I was in Dubai for a while. I live a different kind of life. I know I'm from Jamaica. Not didn't expect. I didn't know I would ever, you know, I live, literally live in the Burj Khalifa. You know, I have no bills. I have not. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And it's all because of food. People just want your services, and they will win. So that's why I tell the guys in Jamaica, look, all you need to do is master your craft, my friend. Just master your craft. It will change everything for you. So I'm very easy. I'm one of the calmest person you will ever find, because as I said, I have no expectation. People that don't disappoint me a lot. Um, and I just focus on what I do. And I'm honestly, brother, it's so nice to talk, because you don't have all of this in me. I never say nothing to nobody. So I am grateful for you just reaching out, to be honest. And the whole book thing, I'm gonna take you up on that. I like the challenge, and your challenge is accepted. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna change this.
Yes. And folks, I'm glad he shared that with you, the access. 'Cause the type of access you have is the type of access sometimes, stars and entertainers, labels will give them whatever. But the thing is, you also have to save that money, because when you do go back with the common people and they say, hey, I just saw you in this car. I just saw you
Yeah,
on a private jet.
yeah,
Where's my
yeah,
money?
yeah,
Where's my portion? Because we know our people, and they
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
and a lot of folks are living that life. A lot of, footballers and NBA people are
yeah,
living that life where things are given to them, but they're not respecting the money that they have or the
yeah,
connections that they have to go to the next thing, because
yeah,
that's when you find someone, at the gas station, NBA player begging for money. And you're like, what
yeah,
happened? You were like the prodigal son. You didn't
yeah,
respect the position that you were in. So that's why I see
yeah,
the books, more TV for you,
yeah,
your
yeah,
YouTube, and then your son come in there with the doing his martial arts and cooking and mixing the martial arts with the cooking, and it'll be a beautiful thing.
yeah, man. Definitely, man. I'm gonna definitely get onto this thing, because, as I said, you see, because I am not the type of person who is, like some people are doing fame and this kind of stuff and want to be out there. I'm not, I, don't, I genuinely, I don't. I want people to know about my work. I don't mind if no one know what I look like. You understand what I'm saying? I'm one of them ones. So it's like, I just want to be known for what I do and not what I look like and what I'm, so this kind of life doesn't, I'm a simple guy who grew up in the country. I just want to be left alone. When I'm here, I just want to be here. Me and my friends, we just kick it, chill, and just, you know what I mean? That's that's how. But now that you're talking, I think it's not about me. It's about people who you need to fuel what they do by doing what you do. You know what I mean? And you make me realize this. Say, because I was just doing it because, like, what do I need? I don't need to be this, and I don't need to be that. Like, I have my little family and we are okay, and you understand what I'm saying. But now that you're talking, I mean, there's people out there who looking for inspiration, and if I can do that, I would literally oblige. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna definitely take you up.
Man, you guys have gotten the game. Like, share, subscribe. Don't want to give you a game overload. We're gonna take it offline. Chef Collin, I thank you.
Respect, man. I think we should do this again sometime. I like reasoning with you. You're okay. You're one of us. You're good.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.